So it is officially getting close to spooky season, which means it is time for me to pull out all of my Halloween and SFX knowledge. So for this first one, I have created a look inspired by Glam and Gore from about 6 years ago, I believe, when she did her take on a toxic mermaid, and now it is my turn. So this is mostly body painting, something that is not my forte actually. So if you want to see how I managed to create this wonderful look, watch on and I will show you how to do it. So one of the first things I am going to need to do is block out my eyebrows. Now you only need two things to do this, and it is really easy. One is any sort of loose translucent powder, and the other thing is a non-toxic washable glue stick. It does need to be non-toxic and washable because you are putting it in your eyebrow hair. All you need to do is rub it through your eyebrows really well. So I'm really trying to get every hair covered. And from there you just need something hard and smooth to be able to use to push the eyebrow hair up, and you want to push it in the direction that it naturally grows in, as that will be the flattest it will lie. And once you've gotten it flattened down, you just need to go back over it with more glue. And you're going to leave that to dry. So I'm going to do that on my other eyebrow. And I'm also just going to clean up any excess glue from around my eyebrow region, as that is just going to make a rougher texture later on. Then once your eyebrows have started drying, so they're still tacky but they're not completely wet anymore, you need to take a little bit of your translucent powder on a makeup sponge and really press into the eyebrow. And then just leave that to completely dry. You might need to do this step a couple of times before you get eyebrows that are smooth enough for what you want. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back when it's time for the next step. So that took about 3 layers of glue and powder. Next on to actually colour correcting. So as it's quite a dark colour, my natural eyebrow, I'm going to be colour correcting with a light pink tone, and that's that one just here. And I'm just going to be placing that all over the area that is darkest from the eyebrow hair. And then I am just immediately going to powder that down as well. At this stage, I'm going to use primer on the rest of my face. This one is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. And just as we are doing something that's going to go a little bit across the shoulders as well, I am just going to use some additional primer on the shoulder and the neck. Now I'm going to take my foundation and take that all over my face, my shoulders and my neck. And this one is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Foundation, and I'm just using my lighter colour of this, so that one is number 2, Neutral. Now I did have someone mention that the background is quite sad, and I 100% agree, my background is very sad. If you have come from my parents' YouTube channel, Portugal Dreams, you'll know that my house has been a work in progress now for several months. My parents' house was the priority to be finished, and just now we started with mine. And then just as we got the first wall up, we had several water leaks, so they took priority. We are just hopefully getting started now on my house, so that should be working soon. What this room actually is my soon-to-be bathroom. The reason being, it's the smallest room in the house. It's one of the cleanest rooms in the house currently because it's not an active building site. And because it's smaller, it's easier to insulate for sound. Because my house is a work in progress, a lot of my things, my belongings, are just not out of storage yet. My bedroom is just as sad looking, I can guarantee you. But I hopefully will be able to get into a few of my things soon and maybe space out a bit more, because pictures as well are really good for insulating sound. At the moment I've just got spare rugs and things thrown on the ground to try and help. And I am just dabbing in that foundation now. The other thing that was mentioned was to have a stand mirror. I do own a stand mirror. It's one of the items that did get unpacked and immediately got seized by my mother. So hopefully I can seize that back. Thing I'm going to do is use my concealer. This is the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer in the shade, I will remember the shade eventually, Light Sand. So I'm going to take that in my usual places, which is under my eyes mainly and on any blemishes. I'm also going to take that also over my eyebrows. You're going to get sick of seeing layers on my eyebrows. And again, I'm just going to blend that out with my handy dandy makeup sponge. And now, next step is to powder everything. So the next thing I'm going to do is contour, and I'm going to be using something very different to a normal contour colour, and I'm bringing out the eyeshadow palettes. This is the Beauty Bay Earthy Palette. This has got a lot of greens and deep colours and a few more natural colours and some reds. And I'm going to go into the colour Seaweed, which is this colour just here. And I'm just going to take that in all of my normal contour places. And I'm also going to start taking that down the sides of my neck and across the tops of my shoulders. And just to blend anything that's a little bit heavy, I'm just going back in with my powder brush in nice wide circle shapes. Then what I'm going to do is open up my Kryalon super colour palette. There is multiple Kryalon super colour palettes. This one is the one that has most of the colours in. And I'm going to be going into TK2, which is this colour just here. So I'm just going to load that onto a disposable sponge. And to get a fish scale effect, I'm going to be using a bald cap or a wig cap. What I'm going to do is apply this, and rather than pulling it over my hair like I normally would for a new wig, I'm going to keep it here, which looks ridiculous. And then using that lighter colour, I'm going to pack that over where my scales, where the green parts are for scales. And I'm just gonna adjust this so I can also start getting down the neck. And I don't quite like the blueness of this, so I'm going in with the green shade, which is Green 42, this colour. And another sponge, I'm going to load up with that and put it in most of the areas with this kind of turquoisey colour, but not in all of them, so it should ombre from one colour to the other. And I'm also just going to work on quickly setting that with colours that match. So of the lighter areas, I am going to use this really pale colour up here called Seahorse. And then over the darker areas, I'm going to go in with that shade Seaweed again. It is really important you use a patting motion, otherwise you will move the fishnet and then you will also damage the pattern. Lift that off. I'm stuck on my earrings. And just where there has been a little bit of missing colour, I'm just going to go back in with that deepest shade and just blend it a little bit. Now for any other area, I'm just going to be stretching the wig cap over the area. Can be a little bit difficult, so if you can get an assistant, please do. I cannot. But for some areas it's going to be easier than others. For example, shoulders. This should, keyword should, work quite nicely like this. And I'm just going to repeat that process all over the rest of the scales. So all over any of the greeny areas. So the next bit is the secret ingredient to this look, which is this. This is the Prescription Cosmetics Neon Loose Pigment Powder. And this one is obviously the green colour. It does not have a colour name on it. These, unfortunately, this brand, I believe, are no longer standing. I believe they retired. But any loose pigment powder like this will work fine. I'm just going to take the little bit that is in the lid from it just naturally existing, and I'm just going to take that on a very loose fluffy brush, and I'm going to start dabbing that into some of the scaled areas, particularly on this bluey bit because I don't really like the blue. It was a lot more green in the palette. Again, I'm just gonna lightly buff that out because this stuff is vibrant on camera. It is not as vibrant in real life. And what I forgot to do earlier is contour my nose, so I'm just gonna contour my nose now with just that dark seaweed color from earlier. Take a really fine eyeliner brush. It's one of the delicatest brushes I have, and I'm going to take on the Snazaroo black watercolor paint, and I'm going to start painting in some details including gills and a few other features that we'll get into in a minute. So I'm not actually a huge body painter, so it seems very strange that I, of all people, am going in with body painting as one of my first Halloween looks. My plan is to start going into more Halloween-y looks that may have some everyday appliances, depending on who you are. And then kind of go back to more normal things after Halloween. So just where my under collarbone is, I'm going to paint my first gill. A more sane person would draw this on first with a lighter colour and then go in with black. I'm not that person. So when you're using any sort of water paint, you don't want to feel it dragging or sticking too much. It should be nice and fluid. If it's running and uncontrollable, it's too wet. If it's dragging, it is too dry. That's the easiest way to tell. And I'm just going to try and get a second gill under each of these. While that is just starting to dry, I'm going to start painting some other accents here. Opulence palette from Beauty Bay, and I'm going to go into this very top colour here, Noir, which is just a straight up black colour. And I'm going to use that for additional shading, so that's going to go under the jawline line that I've just drawn, under these circles, into the temple region, and also under the gills. So I'm just going to do that now. Next thing I'm going to do is add some splattering, just to add a little bit more texture to everything. So there is a few things I'm going to be using for that. One of that is that same green pigment. So all I'm going to do is use that and a little bit of something called Mehron's mixing liquid to make this into a liquid. And to make the splatter effect nice and easy and fine, I'm going to be using a disposable mascara wand. What I'm going to do is try, keyword try, and load the spoolie up with a little bit of this product, and then use my brush to further spread the colour. Individually dot on some of the mixing solution that we've made to give a little bit more sporadic scaling. So I will do all of that scaling and I will get back. Okay, so next we're going to move on to eyeshadow. So we're going to go into a slightly different colour. This one is also on the top. It is the shade Rave, and we are going to be taking that kind of all over, way past the brow bone, because we can, now that we have no eyebrows. So after taking that colour all up to almost this green patch up here, I'm then going to go in with another green tone. This one is Apple, it's just here. And I'm going to take that almost as high as I took that one, so it's probably going to stop just on the eyebrows themselves. And I'm also going to use that just to tone down the brightness of the green again. I'm going to go into this shade Shamrock, and again I'm going to take it just slightly lower, so this is just going to hit the brow bone. Probably where I'd naturally normally finish my eyeshadow is where this is going to end. And I'm also going to take this colour underneath my lash line. But I am taking this slightly further than I would normally take it when doing my makeup as well. Then onto the colour I'm going to end up sick of by the end of this. It's going to be Seaweed, which is this one. And I'm also going to take that colour onto my lash line as well. And I am going to use Unicorn Cosmetics Bare Pigment in the shade No Shade. And I'm going to take that over my eyelids. I'm just going to take that on quite a dense packing brush. I'm also just going to take that in a couple of areas that I did those scales earlier. Then I'm going to take my standard eyeliner and do quite a large dramatic wing. I'm just going to do a layer of my favourite mascara. Then I'm going to use this lipstick by Sugarpill Cosmetics. It is one of their liquid lipsticks in the shade Subzero, which is quite a deep blue colour with some blue-green specks in it. Then I'm going to add some lashes. So these are from Pound Lashes and these are the style 4D Sinner. I love Pound Lashes. They are some of the best and some of the cheapest lashes I have ever used. The only issue is I ordered a load while I was in the UK. I haven't been in the UK for 2 years and I could really do with refilling my stock. And I'm not sure how the shipping's going to be, so I'm a little bit nervous for that. So one of the things with lashes is when they're fresh out of a brand new box, they're probably not going to fit your eye. You probably will need to trim them. I've not met a single person that I have not needed to trim lashes for or have not needed to trim lashes for themselves. So never believe that. I am using a clear glue. This is one of the easiest if you do make mistakes, but for a more defined look, somebody might prefer a black glue. With the clear glue, what I find easiest is to apply it to both of them and wait until the glue turns translucent, not transparent. So there's still a whitish tinge, but it won't be as obvious. And while I'm waiting for that, what I tend to do is curve the lashes so that they actually keep a very curvy shape. Your eyes are not flat, so keeping it curved just makes it a little bit easier. Again, if they're the first time off and they're fresh off the lash form, it's probably not going to be so bad and you won't need to curve them as much. But if you've used them a few times and you don't keep them on their little plastic form, you'll probably find they become straight. And then I can just lay them straight on. I know a lot of people use lash tools. I did for many years and I actually found they ended up being a little bit harder. At first they were helpful, then they became annoying. I stopped using them and now I can just, with my bare hands, just adjust them as needed. So just onto the last few things. So I am just going to highlight a little bit. I'm using my normal Chi Chic Drama Queen palette, and I am going into the blue shade, which is Green with Envy. And it is a blue shade. I do not know why it's called Green with Envy, but... And I'm just going to dust that onto my normal highlight points. That still makes sense. So the tops of my cheeks still make sense. Down the bridge of my nose does. Tip of my nose does not. And I'm also just going to take it onto my collarbone. Then with a little bit of that leftover green sludge that I made, I'm just going to add a little bit more to my lips. So I'm going to do that, put on a wig, and I will be back. And that's the finished look. I've just added a little bit of extra neon slime stuff, and I've applied a almost soaking wet wig to fit in with the vibe. So that is the finished look. And of course, I haven't forgotten to show the thing that is why I've been using so much neon. It is all blacklight reactive. And obviously this can be done with any colour. I just thought green was best for kind of the toxic, infected kind of vibe. I really enjoyed doing this look. I hope you guys have enjoyed, even if it's not something that you personally are going to replicate for Halloween or any other event. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please remember to like and subscribe. There's also the link below to my Instagram. It is the same name as is here, LESFX. And hopefully I will see you guys next week. Bye! And just so you guys know, I started this at about 8 o'clock in the evening. It's currently midnight. It's currently midnight. This took me 4 hours. That is not what they tell you when you start doing special effects or anything. They don't tell you you'll start at like a reasonable-ish time, finish at midnight, if you're lucky. And this is also the second time I've done this look. The first time was a disaster, and I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning doing it, so don't be like me, start at a reasonable time.